Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Good morning, everybody. It's Cowboy, and it is 8:31 a.m. EST, and we got an exciting day today. Not sure how exciting it's going to be in the charts, but we do have the Bitcoin Summit today. We got Trump going to talk to Saylor, so all eyes are still on Bitcoin for the moment, Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. So we're going to go ahead and focus there for the talk today. But of course, if you have questions, please ask them in the comments, and I will get to as many of those as I can. Now, Bitcoin is at a key point here. As you can see, it could go up, it could go down. And I'm going to take a look briefly here at the algos. Right now, it wants to continue this kind of slight move down. This is the 3-hour chart. So you're looking at a little over a day's worth of price action here, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the higher time frame. And I can tell you that it's a mix, right? The very high time frame actually is still a bit bearish. Now that can turn around because it was bullish for so long that you just get these pullbacks, but it's high time frame. So those pullbacks can take months at a time. It doesn't mean that the super high time frame is not bullish. It almost always is bullish, but you have on the monthly right now a couple of bearish indications. But again, I think those might just be short-term pullbacks. But again, short term on the high time frame is months. So what we're seeing right now in the tradable time frames is that price wants to kind of head into this area, just as these arrows indicate. It wants to maybe dip back down into this messy range that's been created going back about a week and a half, right? So you can kind of see that price has been consolidating more or less in this region, more or less between about 82,000 and about 85,500. And price may want to come back down to that area to grab some liquidity. But what we have on the daily time frame is a bit of bullishness, and that's being reflected in this general kind of climb up. But knowing what I know about this look right here, this really looks, to be honest, a bit bear flaggy to me. And what that means is that a bear flag is kind of an old, almost, it's a pattern that a lot of new traders look at, and they don't always play out, and nothing always plays out. But when you see price head down and then it kind of starts to fight to climb up in this kind of nasty little fight right here, you tend to see a continuation down afterwards. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, but what I'm seeing right now is that on the daily time frame, this is a 3 hour, so each one of these candlesticks is a 3-hour candlestick, right? It's 3 hours worth of price action. And what I'm seeing on the next time frame up is some pretty heavy bullishness, but some resistance, right? So price right now wants to head up, but it's also heading up where it's going to knock its head. And what I mean by that is you have an area here where there are some older pivots where price is pivoted. Here, you'll see we had that kind of climb up and that continuation down like we just talked about, sort of a bear flaggish look. I don't want to just call it that. There is this, it might have looked like a bear flag, except for this big green and red candle that you see right here. And that was when, on a Sunday morning, when Trump made some announcements about Bitcoin. Right? So Trump made announcements, he got this massive pump, and then what happened? Price headed down. This is literally what happened. So we might see that again. We might see a possible pump upwards, and then we might see price head down after that if history repeats itself during one of Trump's Bitcoin talks. There's a lot of pivoting in this area, prior price action right there, and there's a lot of pivoting in this area, or at least a strong pivot in this area right here. And of course, you have this older price action here. So there's a lot of reasons for price to, if it does pop up, turn back around and head down, right? But it might not be as dramatic as that. It could pop up and then kind of knock its head maybe here and go sideways and then make a decision. There's a lot of things price could do. It might go sideways and then make a decision. If I had to take a guess, it's going to knock its head anywhere between 88,000 and maybe 92,000 and then head down. And it really just depends on, I think, what Trump says. If he says something that is extremely bullish, I think the market's all going to freak out and start buying. And I think the smart money is probably going to start unloading at that time and going short. We're going to see what happens, though. I mean, there's always that chance that this pullback is done and 78,000 or what is it, 76,400 is the bottom and price continues up. But right now, everything I'm seeing in the general market doesn't say that. Everything I'm seeing in the algos doesn't really say that. It says there's more of a bloodletting to come. And these kind of pullbacks on a high time frame are completely reasonable. It doesn't mean the bull market is over. We've talked about this before. A 30% pullback during a bull market is completely normal. We just saw it last year. And let's talk about that. You had the massive move up in March. You had the first time in history where Bitcoin made an all-time high prior to the halving, which was right here. And that was in March, mid-March, right? And it pulled back a full 33%. That's pretty big. That's a big pullback in the middle of a bull market. And how long did it take for that pullback to resolve? That took about 235 days. What is that? 7 months, 7.5 months. So now we're in another high time frame pullback in the middle of a bull market. And you see price right now having come off the highs a full 29%. We haven't even matched that same pullback yet from back then. And to match that is going to be deeper. It's going to be about here. So to match that pullback would be the low, say 73,000 level. And that's an important level, right? It hasn't even touched the prior structure from the high in March. So we have a lot of time yet left to see what's going to happen. And I do think price will eventually start to, if it doesn't break the new lows, it might come back down and retest those lows and sweep those lows. So we might see price maybe jump up a little bit, come back down, test those lows, go sideways for a while and pop up. Or what we might see instead is another level down, price come down maybe to here, mid 60,000s, right? Go sideways a bit and then come back up, right? I do think we're going to see at least a retest of the all-time high, if not a new all-time high. And we could end up seeing what we saw with Bitcoin back in the last cycle, where you saw price make a high and then it came back down, going until this pullback resolved. About 200 days, a little bit longer. Yeah. So we're seeing something kind of similar to last March. We have about a 200 days, so 170 days. So that's 3 times, 6 months, right? Roughly a little under 6 months right there. So you have a 6-month pullback, a pullback with a 6-month resolution, and you have the pullback amount was like 50% or something. Yeah, it was 55%. In the middle of a bull market, you had a 55% pullback. It was below all the EMAs, and everybody thought it was done in the bear market and all that. And then it came on back. Now, this was unique. It was during COVID. A lot of people were at home. A lot of people got money that didn't normally have money because of their stimmy checks, etc. So every cycle has its quirks. For the moment, though, I do expect a possible pop-up today and a pullback down to grab the lows at least. So that's what I'm looking at. And we are now towards the end of the live lab. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to move over to the private live lab. Now, if you do have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments. While I am setting that up, I'll see if I can get to those. And if there is time, we're going to see if we can take a brief look over at the NASDAQ. So give us just a second to get this all set up over here, and we will do that. Looks like I lost some sound there. Hopefully the sound is back. Don't know how that happened. But let's hope that you can hear me again now. Let me double check that. Somebody in the comments say that I'm audible. Let's take a look. Let me find the settings. Okay, audio. Okay, you should be able to hear me. Yep, you should be able to hear me. Apologies for the slip up there. So what I just said for that moment that I was out is that I expected the NASDAQ to open and go sideways. It opened and popped up a little bit, right? And that was a massive move down on the NASDAQ going back to the 20th of February. So a full month of action here, more or less. And the last week or so has been kind of a climb upwards, a very small climb. Now, is it going to continue up? We're going to see about that. I know the higher time frame still has some need to resolve the bearishness that we've been seeing. So I do expect right now more bearishness, but it might actually end up only being sideways or like not quite as bearish as a lot of people think. I think realistically the NASDAQ will touch 18,000 before all of this is done. So that's the look at the NASDAQ. And remember, short term, Bitcoin does kind of follow that NASDAQ. So you got to watch out for that. All right. That's it for today for the Public Live Lab. Please come on over to algofactory.tech. We help people build their own trading algorithms, their own trading method. It doesn't have to be like computer coded or anything like that. But if you want to computer code it to trade for you, we can help you put yourself on that path as well. We are an excellent educational group. We have taught all kinds of people of all different skill levels, professional traders, all the way down to brand new people. And we're helping people extract money out of the market. You've seen how the market has fallen, right? You've seen how the market is just getting crushed. And with that being the case, this is a great time to make money with algos. Rather than sitting and holding whatever cryptos you've got or whatever it is, this is the way to go right here. Come on to Algo Factory. Let us show you how to turn this volatility to your advantage. And we're going to see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. EST, bright and early. Thanks for watching.
Join us or die.